Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a Preflight Specialist with FireSprint. So to create a custom cut path from a raster image, first things first, we're going to open our image in Photoshop because mine has a background. If it doesn't have a background or just a white background, that's perfect, makes it easier. You can skip straight to the Illustrator steps, but mine currently has a background. Photoshop has this really great tool in it called Select Subject. And what it does is it analyzes your photo and it tries to pick out what the subject of the photo is, and then it creates a selection around what it believes the subject is. And there it is. It has selected what it believes is our subject. Now, it's not always perfect. Some of the subject selections will need some modification. That's where we can go into our selection tools to the lasso tool. If you press Shift and click and drag, you add to the selection. If you use Alt and click and drag, you remove from the selection. Around this area here, we need to add to the selection because it didn't quite understand that this ear was not part of the background. So I am going to hold Shift and I'm going to drag around that ear. Doesn't need to be super perfect, but try not to be too sloppy either. Once you have the outside of your ear selected, you can kind of be sloppy around the inside of it because we're adding to it, so it's just going to move it to the outside like this. So we're going to go around and kind of look for areas in the selection that need to be removed or added to. Sometimes there will be little spots on the outside. You don't have to be too careful with this because Illustrator does make it a little easier to remove some of those as well. I'm going to grab this headphone area here. And sometimes you make a mistake like I just did and you use the wrong option. You can just Control Z and use the correct option. Once we're happy with our selection, this is good enough for what I am doing here. If your background is locked in your layers, double click it and just hit enter. It unlocks it, creates a layer called layer 0 instead of background. And then you can go to select inverse or use Control Shift I to select the inverse and then just delete. And then Control D will deselect. So now we have that taken care of. Because this one was so wide, I'm going to go ahead and crop this image down using my crop tool, just so that it's a little bit less big taking it into Illustrator. It's not a necessary step, but I like to do it because it just makes the workflow a little bit cleaner. Once you have it cropped down, just hit enter, it crops down your artboard. So we're going to go ahead and Control Shift S. And we're going to save this as a Photoshop PDF. We're going to need it in PDF format anyway, might as well do it now. And then I like to go to Acrobat 7 for the compatibility mode. Save the PDF. You can preserve Photoshop editing capabilities or you can not. It doesn't really make a huge difference. Close it out of Photoshop. And then we will go to Illustrator and we will open our newly saved PDF. Once that loads in, now we can work on creating our cut path. This one is going to be a little more difficult than others now that I'm looking at it because it is the white shirt on the white background. So we are going to have to do a little bit of playing with it to get it right. So we're going to go into our window and we are going to go to Image Trace. Your image will be in a clipping mask, so first thing we need to do when we're preparing this is to remove that clipping mask. So you can do Control-Alt-7 and that will release clipping masks. If it has multiples, you may have to do it multiple times. You may have to use Control-Shift-G to ungroup things. So we select that clipping path and just delete it, leaving just the image in the file. First thing I'm going to do is select my image, Control-C, Control-Shift-V to make a copy of it. We don't want to lose our image. So you select that copy, go into your image trace presets, silhouettes. Just to start off, see what happens. We'll let that think, and it looks like the white shirt was not selected. That may or may not be a problem. But you can play with this threshold slider, and that can help. Lower gets worse, more you get more of it becoming a silhouette until it's an entire black square. So you may have to play with this a little bit to get it correct. This one, because of the white shirt, is a little bit more difficult. Once you have it all corrected and figured out, you'll go up to Object, Expand, just click OK, leave the object and fill selected, click OK, and that converts your image trace into a vector. Because of the white shirt, you will need to go in probably with the pen tool and make some adjustments here. I'm not going to be super accurate with this because I am going to create a standee with a slight white border. Anywhere you cross a black, you can kind of skip over any outside edges that are good and work on creating a path only where you need it. So we're going to go through this and just sort of connect all of these together, skipping over any areas that I don't need to modify the path. I am just going to go ahead and fill this area in. It makes it just a little bit easier in the long run. So I'm going to take and select that path that I just drew and my original path. I'm going to go to my window, make sure that my Pathfinder window is open. And then under this little hamburger menu, I'm just going to go Make Compound Shape and Expand. And that makes them into a single combined shape. There are some white areas here. It's pretty easy to fill those in if you don't need cutout areas. Control-Alt-Shift-8. That will release the compound path, filling in any areas with the same black color. The main thing is that they have to be connected areas, so I can see this area did not fill with black, so that probably means that these 2 points don't actually connect. That's a pretty easy fix, but I'm just going to take my current selection and I'm going to do the Make Compound Shape Expand again, and then I'm going to come back in here with my pen tool. I'm going to do the same thing. If you have the little plus sign by your pen tool, that means it's going to add a point to the current path. Most of the time, if you press Shift, you'll get a little asterisk. That means it's now drawing a new path, so you can hold Shift and click on a path to draw a new path over it. So I'm just going to cover this area, and then I'm going to select my 2 paths, Make Compound Shape, Expand, Control-Alt-Shift-8, and then Make Compound Shape and Expand again. And now we have, if we hit Shift-X or this little arrow by my colors, it'll swap the fill and stroke around, making the black from a fill to a stroke. And now you have a cut path. Because I'm doing more of a standee sort of idea, I'm going to add a white border to this. Looks a little bit cleaner. So then I just go Object, Path, Offset Path. Let's do 0.25 IN for inches. That's 18 point. And then I'm going to do round joins so that it doesn't get any weird little spikes. Click OK. Select the original and delete it because I don't need it. And then we create a new layer. Call that through-cut. Move that path onto that layer. And now you have a file set up for a cut path. The one last thing I need to do that is just a little bit of housekeeping here is I need to find my artboard tool. I can't find the artboard tool. Sometimes tools are missing from the toolbar. If you can't find a specific tool, you can click on this 3 button at the bottom its edit toolbar, and it has all of your tools. This little page with the crop marks in the upper left, Shift O is your hotkey for selecting that, but you can click and drag that into your toolbar and then just click the three dots again to close it. Now we have our artboard tool selected. So I have my through cut selected, I have my artboard tool. I can double click on that path and it will automatically crop my artboard to the dimensions of the cut path, which is what our website is going to look for. Is you want your artboard dimensions, your cut path dimensions, and your ordered dimensions all to match. This will give you an easy way to know what your cut path dimensions are, is making sure that your artboard and your cut path are the same size. So then we already have this saved as a PDF. I have it on the through cut layer. I have my through cut. One thing to do still, a little bit of cleanup, is this cut path may have some strange bumps. I can go Object, Path, Smooth, give that a little smoothing. You usually don't have to go more than 10%. I'm going to go 9% on this one just to make it kind of smooth. If you go any higher than that, it tends to start smoothing out a lot of curves until it essentially tries to become a circle. So I usually don't go any higher than 10 to 15% on most cut paths. Control S to save this. And now you have a file that is ready for upload with a custom cut path and a raster image.